Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Everybody is doing well today. Kind of a off and on sunny day here. We get either too cloudy or, little breaks here and there for the sun. But a little bit chilly, but not too bad. But that's, for this time of the year though, it's kind of warm for Maine, I still haven't even put on my big winter coat yet, so it's just I'm just wearing, well, I got this brown leather jacket that I bought from Temu. It's like if I wear that for like 10 minutes, I'm sweating in the damn thing. I mean, it's not like it's lined or anything, but it's just the material it's made out of just kind of holds the body heat right in there. So it's a perfect jacket, even when it's in the temperatures, that would be like 20 degrees or something to wear, because, it really, But no, I got a big long black trench coat. I got a winter coat. I got all kinds of coats, but I haven't really been able to really needed to have to bring out that bigger coat. So I don't know. Well, today has been quite a day for South Korea, huh? Jesus, practically overnight, President Yoon or whatever, however you pronounce, decides he wants to declare martial law in their country, and about 5 hours or 6 hours after that, the National Assembly, which is their version of our Congress, passed a resolution to lift martial law, basically overturned the president's order, and they tried to send the military in there. Yoon tried to send the military in there to arrest some people. Was it Ye Myung, Han Dong-hoon, and Moon Sheik, who were the opposition leader, the ruling party, and the Speaker of the National Assembly, tried to go in there and take them out. Okay? All I can think of is that... Is that like a foreshadowing of things to come here in the United States? Because apparently this guy, from things that I've read about President Yoon, he's not very popular. He's got like a very low approval rating in that country, like what, 13% or something like that. It's very low. People don't like him. He speaks very divisively, just like Trump does, I guess. And, he's in power, but the people don't want him, and now they want him even less now because they're out on the streets wanting him to resign. The guy, he had the fucking military out there, out on the damn street, tanks on the street and soldiers out on the street, and, I imagine it must have scared the bejesus out of the people over there. I don't know if they, expected it was something like that was going to happen, but... they're like one of our most important allies, because they border a North Korea, which is a, complete opposite of South Korea. But how this guy managed to get in there, it must have been the same kind of shit that got Trump back in there as president. What are the fucking odds in this point in world history? We get Putin, we get Trump, we get Jung, you know, and Chi. We got all these fucking dictators here, all coming into power here. Don't you think maybe there's some bigger, you know, something underhanded going on in some way around the world, that all these things happen at the same time? I mean, you got that asshole in Israel there, Netanyahu, doing all these things. It's like, what's happening here? Why are all the leaders suddenly becoming the enemy here in everybody's home countries? You know, what the hell's going on? I mean, was there a collaboration of some kind? You know, you have to wonder. I mean, I know we're going into conspiracy theories, but when you have so much evil coming into power in different governments, you have to wonder what's going on. You know, and you know, yeah, somebody could say, well, you know, democracy doesn't work. Really? At the same time around the world, it doesn't work? I mean, come on. You know, something nefarious had to be going on, you know, in order for all these things to take place. I mean, it's just like in World War II, you know, Mussolini, Hitler, Stalin. You had all that shit coming in at the same time, and it led to a huge global war. Okay? I mean, is this what's going to happen? That's going to explode into another huge global war because we got all the assholes in power around the world? I mean, come on. It seems almost biblical in what's happening right now. And it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous that that these things are happening in a vacuum, more or less. I mean, it's just... maybe it's something to do with the rich people in the world or something, applying pressure, or, you know, putting their thumbs on the scales, as it were, to see that certain things happen. You know, I don't know. I really don't know. And you know, I could go way off in tangents here and it'd be like Alex Jones, but I ain't gonna do that. All I'm saying is it just seems like there's a big story here that we ain't seeing here, that really, you know, we're being shocked by this and surprised by that. And, you know, it's like, you know, these things, you know, if we're like that, if we're always surprised and shocked about stuff, then we got no control over anything. Okay? It's, you know, I mean, people in South Korea probably felt that, you know, they didn't like this guy, but they never thought he'd explode like this on them. And fortunately, their democracy worked better to stop it. And people here now at home are wondering if our democracy is strong enough to be able to stop Trump, if he decides to follow the example of President Yoon. Okay, if he decides one day he's going to declare a martial law in the country, will our military be able to be leashed and held back from that order? I mean, is our Congress, or, you know, whatever, is it going to be able to stop that, overturn that kind of thing? You know, we don't know. But right now, South Korea is sort of like being the the democracy beacon right now in the world that the United States used to be, because we saw how something like this can be stopped in a democracy, but we're not so sure in America that our democracy still exists that's strong enough to be able to do the same thing. You know, we certainly came close to that under Nixon, where, you know, Nixon could have easily declared martial law in the country to protect his own ass. And, you know, we don't really know if the military would have actually gone along with that, or basically, you know, expelled him from the White House. And if something like that happens here, do we have a contingency plan in place so that way the whole country doesn't fall under martial law under the military if Trump is thrown out of office? You know, you see what I'm saying? It's a big constitutional test that Trump is leading us into here. We're going to be putting the Constitution to the test. And I don't know if it's strong enough, because I don't know if there was plans embedded in what the founding fathers had made for this country in case of a tyrannical leader. getting into power. Maybe they thought that they laid out everything so that way somebody like that couldn't get into power, but here we are. And so, the thing is we don't really know what we can do. The only people who would know would be lawyers and constitutionalists, and only they would be able to know where the laws would be on that. We certainly can't depend on the Supreme Court to be honest about it, because we know where their loyalties lie. And so, without the Supreme Court there on our side, I mean, do we really have a wall in place to prevent Trump from ever doing something as nasty as what happened here in South Korea? But this is a thing that goes to the fuck around and find out that everybody's been saying to MAGA these days. They fucked around, now they're going to find out. Well, we're all going to find out together, MAGA or not. We're all going to find out together, because what they've done is they've dragged us all into the pit, all of us, okay? And whether MAGA likes it or not, we're all in it together now, okay? Because what happens to them is going to happen to everybody else. So we're all in the same boat. They said the country was divided. Not anymore. We're all in it together now. We're all in the fucking pit together. And Donald Trump, he's pouring gas into the pit, and he's standing there with a fucking match. Is it going to matter who's MAGA and who ain't at that point? No, because we're all going to burn together, all of us. And the thing of it is that when it comes to that point, that's when I think people as a whole in this country are going to wake up and realize that, we can't play nice Mr. Nice Guy anymore by the rules. We can't play by the Democratic rules, the Republican rules of democracy. We just have to do what they did in the old days, okay, and just grab a fucking gun and go at it, okay? And because it's either that or we forfeit our lives, because people like Trump, the millionaires, the billionaires, they don't care. You saw how they treated workers back in the 1940s and 50s. Okay, they didn't want to give them a goddamn thing. No workers' rights, no nothing. And when they asked for it, they got their asses handed to them. Okay, that's the way they are, and they haven't changed. They're the same way today. They're the same fucking way today. Okay, and when you got elites like that in charge of places that people depend on to make their living, okay, you're taking food out of their mouths whenever you deny them things. Okay, how do you expect people to be there for you working if you treat them like, rats in a trash can, okay? How the fuck is that going to work for you? You get all their money, and they work till they drop dead, and then you're like, okay, let's go find somebody else, okay? In a democracy, that shit's not supposed to happen, okay? It isn't, but it happens, okay? Because people are not enforcing rules, there's no checks and balances, there's no oversight enough to be able to do that, and here Trump was coming in, he wants to tear all that down, that whatever was there, okay? So that way, people have no one to turn to for help. People have nobody to help, okay? They want to take away all that, so we're all left at the mercy of who's sitting in the power of the government, okay? MAGA for years, Republicans for years have cried and bellyached about government overreach. The government's too big, too bloated. It needs to be shrunk down to the size you can flush it down a toilet. Well, Trump ain't going to do any of that. Instead, he's sucking in all the agencies under his wing, where he has control of everything. That's what his plan is. He's putting dingbats in the seats of all the fucking departments, people that are all criminals, okay, are loathsome, people he can manipulate, blackmail, do whatever he has to get them to comply. And for what? So he can watch them destroy those agencies, okay, and he'd end up with a government that has no muscle, basically, just the military. But the government would be useless. And guess who benefits from that? The rich, the business. We'd have a corporate government instead. I mean, it's almost kind of like that now, okay? I'm not totally blind about that, but without the government there to dictate regulations and you can't do this, you can't do that, hey, it's open market. People have no rights anymore. Okay, workers are just guinea pigs. You know what? They can come and do whatever the fuck they want to you. You know, the police, they'd probably be all private entities then. They'd be owned by whatever corporation is there. You know, they would be nothing. You know, the states would have to fend for themselves for however much allowance they're given. Okay, but there would be nothing. No government, no nothing. It would just be destitute everywhere. Okay, homelessness everywhere. And at the same time, you'd have a wealthy population in the country that would have all the fucking money that this country used to have with the middle class and all would all be theirs now. What the hell would we live on? You know, you think they believe in handouts? Okay, they couldn't do trickle-down economics, so it makes you think the rich are going to give you food, okay, if you're starving. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna fucking happen. All right, so let me open this up here. There's this article here that was published today. This one here. It says this is from the New York Times, I guess, or yeah, from reporting from Washington. It says the declaration of martial law tests Biden and a key U.S. alliance. For decades, South Korea has been one of the most important U.S. allies in Asia, not only because nearly 30,000 American troops are stationed there, but also because it stands as a beacon of democracy in a region where powerful authoritarian nations vie with democratic ones. President Biden has put a special emphasis on South Korea, choosing it as the first non-U.S. site for his annual international conclave, the Summit for Democracy. And in 2023, he hosted President Yoon Suk Yeol for a state dinner at the White House, where the tuxedo-clad Mr. Young sang American Pie to an adoring audience. Mr. Biden has also relied on Mr. Young to provide munitions for Ukraine's defense against the Russian invasion. Now, with Mr. Young having imposed martial law, or at the time when this was written, of course it's gone, martial law is over now, but after wildly accusing the opposition party of conspiring with North Korea to undermine him, the American relationship with South Korea could face its biggest test in decades. And Mr. Biden, who has used democracy versus autocracy as a defining framework of his foreign policy, will have to make hard choices on how to handle the crisis after years of cultivating relations with Mr. Young, a conservative leader, and enhancing military ties to better counter China, North Korea, and Russia. Mr. Young's move appeared to catch the Biden administration by surprise. Hosting Mr. Young at the White House in April of 2023, Mr. Biden told Mr. Young that the two men both, quote, understand that our democracies and our people are our greatest sources of strength, unquote. On Tuesday afternoon in Washington, the White House National Security Council released a terse statement using an abbreviation for South Korea's formal name, the Republic of Korea. Quote, the administration is in contact with the ROK government and is monitoring the situation closely as we work to learn more. The U.S. was not notified in advance of this announcement. We are seriously concerned by the developments we are seeing on the ground in the ROK. Officials said that aides had briefed Mr. Biden, who was visiting Angola. Events moved quickly to Seoul. Early on Wednesday, the National Assembly voted to end the martial law, and members of Mr. Young's party did not come out in support of him, prompting Mr. Young to back down. But analysts said they expected weeks of political conflict, including his possible impeachment. Quote, it was a gamble he took to try to impose political control at a time when he feels frustrated by his inability to carry out his vision for the country, unquote, said Jean H. Lee, a Korea expert at the East-West Center in Hawaii. Quote, but at the end of the day, unquote, she added, quote, President Yoon values South Korea's alliance with the United States, its place in the world as a leading global economy, and its reputation as a vibrant democracy in Asia, unquote. South Korea had long periods of military rule after the Korean War halted with an armistice in 1953, and it did not become a democracy until 1987. There was speculation in Washington that Mr. Yoon might have chosen this moment because the U.S. government is in a transition from the Biden administration to the second Trump one, and because Mr. Biden is overseas. Mr. Yoon, a first-term president who barely won the 2022 election, has a low approval rating, and his move against the opposition party in the legislature has echoes of the effort by Donald J. Trump to prevent Mr. Biden from taking office after he won back in 2020 election. President-elect Donald Trump had no immediate reaction on Tuesday, and it is unclear how he might view Mr. Yoon's move. The South Korean leader has been determined to court Mr. Trump, who often gripes that Seoul should pay Washington billions more for the protection of American troops. Mr. Yoon's office even disclosed that he was working on his long-dormant golf game so that he could hit the links with Mr. Trump. At a U.S.-Japan diplomatic event in Washington, Kurt M. Campbell, the Deputy Secretary of State and former Asia advisor to Mr. Biden, said that, quote, our alliance with the ROK is ironclad, and we stand by Korea in their time of uncertainty, unquote. He added that, quote, we have every hope and expectation that any political disputes will be resolved peacefully and in accordance with the rule of law, unquote. Joseph Yoon, a former ambassador and special envoy for North Korea in the Trump administration, said in an interview that Mr. Yoon's moves was an earthquake in domestic politics and would raise doubts about him among allied nations. Quote, this is a big indictment domestically and internationally of Yoon's judgment, unquote, he said. The upheaval is particularly stinging for an American president who has made the promotion of democracy one of his top priorities, in part because of the rise of anti-democratic forces in the United States. Seoul hosted this year's installment of the Global Democracy Summit that Mr. Biden launched 3 years ago. At the opening ceremony in Seoul, Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken hailed South Korea as a democratic model, saying that it was fitting, quote, even a little bit poignant, unquote, that the country was hosting the event. South Korea, Mr. Blinken noted proudly, was, quote, a nation that transformed over a single generation into one of the most strongest, most dynamic democracies in the world, a champion of democracy for the world, unquote. The declaration of martial law also raises questions about what the Pentagon might do in an unstable South Korea with its nearly 30,000 troops and assets in the country. The United States Forces Korea operates under the Indo-Pacific Command, and in coordination with the South Korean military, American soldiers are posted by the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea and in bases elsewhere in South Korea, including in Seoul, where U.S. soldiers walk the streets in uniform. One of Mr. Biden's main strategies for trying to establish deterrence against China and North Korea has been to build up military relations with allies in Asia. He established a new trilateral security partnership with South Korea and Japan. Last year, he hosted Mr. Yoon and Fumio Kishida, then the Prime Minister of Japan, at Camp David in Maryland to announce the new arrangement, an important achievement given the historical enmity between South Korea and Japan. Mr. Biden called the two nations, quote, capable and indispensable allies, unquote. In his remarks, Mr. Yoon said that, quote, the ties between our three countries, which are the most advanced liberal democracies in the region and major economies leading advanced technology and scientific innovation, are more important than ever, unquote. The three nations, he added, have proclaimed they, quote, will bolster the rules-based international order and play key roles to enhance regional security and prosperity based on our shared values of freedom, human rights, and the rule of law, unquote. Adding to the uncertainty are questions about Mr. Trump's plans for the Korean Peninsula. In his first term as president, Mr. Trump rattled South Korea's political leadership with complaints that Seoul should be playing more to the United States for the protection of American troops, a position he has reiterated in recent months. The Biden administration signed an agreement with South Korea in early October, under which Seoul will pay about $1.1 billion per year to defray the cost of maintaining U.S. troops in the country, a policy that American presidents have supported for decades in the name of national security national security not profit. Soon after, Mr. Trump declared that South Korea, which he called, quote, a money machine, unquote, would be, quote, paying us $10 billion a year, unquote, if he were president. The latest security agreement struck with the Biden administration lasts from 2026 to 2030, although Mr. Trump could insist on renegotiating it. Mr. Trump also invested months in a dramatic personal courtship of the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, whom he tried without success to persuade to shutter Pyongyang's nuclear weapons program. Mr. Trump had a partner in President Moon Jae-in of South Korea who wanted rapprochement with North Korea. Mr. Yoon has taken a harder line toward Mr. Kim, although he has said he is open to talks if Mr. Kim shows a willingness to denuclearize. But Mr. Kim has adopted a more bellicose attitude towards South Korea and the United States and has not shown any desire for diplomacy. He signed a mutual defense treaty with Russia this year and sent troops to help the Russian military in its war against Ukraine. As for Mr. Trump, his own intentions about possibly renewing dialogue with Mr. Kim are unclear, but Mr. Young, the veteran diplomat, said he expected Mr. Trump to try to engage again in one-on-one diplomacy. Quote, he likes a deal, unquote, Mr. Young said. Quote, everyone has said this is a difficult deal, and he likes to deliver on a difficult deal, unquote. So, yeah. But everyone's, like I said, was kind of surprised that this happened. You know, even I would imagine even Biden was. I mean, I can't see how he wouldn't. He would have expected this to happen. But you know, I'm not really quite sure on the details of why Yoon wanted to do what he did. You know, this martial law thing. They said it's because he thought that, you know, anti-nationalist people were controlling the government or something. I mean, isn't that sort of what Putin was saying about Ukraine? That Nazis were infiltrating the Ukrainian government, and so he sends the military in there. I mean, isn't that the, you know, the sort of thing that you would expect a leader that does something that's outrageous and everything like that to have an excuse sort of lined up to say, oh, well, I was trying to save our country. At the same time, he's going after its people. Okay? He's got military on the streets. If he had a problem with people in the government itself, the National Assembly, then why not just send the troops into the national, you know, and no, he sends the whole military out on the streets. Okay, sort of like what China did. Remember the Tiananmen Square thing? I mean, that's kind of like what he did. So who the hell was the enemy here? You know, what sparked him to get up one Wednesday morning and say, you know, fuck the country, declare martial law? Okay, I don't know. I haven't heard anything that really explains his thinking here on that, and I'm sure Biden is trying to get it out of him or something to find out what the hell was you thinking, you know? Because now they'll probably ask Young to resign, which rightly so, because, you know, he scared the shit out of these people in that country and made the world nervous because, you know, they thought maybe something was happening. I mean, I thought it was North Korea going across the fucking demilitarized zone and going into, I mean, that's what I thought. But then I thought, well, wait a minute, North Korea's got all its assets tied up with Russia right now, so they'd be stupid to start anything with South Korea. So, you know, I had to listen further to find out what the hell was going on. You know, so no, I mean, there's a lot there we still haven't found out yet, I guess, about this. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be back.
This is me. This is me.
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
Hi everybody. I just wanted to come on here to apologize because I feel like I let my followers down, and the last thing I want to do is disappoint you guys. It's recently been brought to my attention that an entire 7 days has gone by since this news broke out, and I have failed to bring it to you. I am begging for your forgiveness, and I hope I can make it up to you.
Hey Cameo, it's your girl from Colorado, Lauren Boebert. I am so excited to be joining another platform where I can connect directly with supporters from all over the world. Whether you or someone you know needs an America First pep talk, if you want to surprise friends or family with a message for a special day, or if you just want to know my thoughts on whatever's on your mind, Cameo is the place to connect with me. You can book a video now on my Cameo profile, and I will be seeing you and talking with you soon.
Well, if it isn't our favorite 1/3 of Santa's chant. Lauren was on Cameo for a whole 24 hours before she came and went, much like her date that she took to see Beetlejuice. And for that short time, Lauren earned herself the title of being the first sitting member of Congress to be on Cameo, which would make this her second greatest achievement. The first being the fastest hands in Colorado. But unfortunately for this MAGA grifter, her being on Cameo seems to be a bit of an ethics issue. So basically they only have an outside limit of income that they can make, which is capped at $31,815. And unless she was gonna sit there and tally all the money she made on Cameo to play by the books, unfortunately, she shouldn't be on the app. Now, it says here if Boebert was having her Cameo proceeds go to her campaign account, that would probably be in line with house rules, but that is prohibited by the video platform. I am personally disappointed in the fact that she can no longer be on the application. I'm sure this comes as devastating news for people who were looking to send their loved ones a video of Lauren. It would have made the perfect stocking stuffer, which ironically enough is one of Lauren's special moves. Oh, God. I, for one, am personally surprised that Cameo was her first choice. You know, there is another money-making application that Lauren would be better suited for. But if I had to guess as to why she didn't, she probably typed it in wrong on Google and a bunch of ceiling fans came up instead. No, Bobo. But if having a cameo from Lauren Boebert is an itch you just have to scratch, then not only did you probably hook up with her, but I'm here to make that wish come true. Hi, it's me, Lauren Boebert, and I am honored that you chose me to give to your loved one as a gift on Jesus' birthday. I am so excited to get back to having Christ in Christmas. For a while, it was just Miss. But now that Christ is back in it, it's Christmas again. And for an extra $40, I'll get on my knees and pray with you for a wonderful holiday season. Anyways, bye.
Breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking the law, breaking
breaking the law, 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 breaking the law.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
I have another video here. It's about 15 minutes long from Midas Touch, and they're going to be talking about how Trump is has plans to attack veterans' benefits. Okay, the military, so let's go to that video, and then when it's done, I'll have something here else to contribute here to that story. So let's go to the video.
Been enjoying a bit of the deeper dives we've been doing here at the Midas Touch Network. A little bit of a pivot to the type of content that I think you've been seeing. And as I've said before, I'm not showing Donald Trump videos and I'm not playing his audio. But the threat he poses is very real. And I want to talk about an attack that he is currently engaged in, attacking the veteran community. And I want to talk very specifically about what he's doing. I don't want to speak in kind of broad language. I want to really get into the nooks and crannies here. So Fred Wellman, who's on the Midas Touch Network and a veteran himself, here's what he writes. He goes, "I'm concerned that this chatter, like Wall Street Journal op-eds, Sean Hannity pieces, The Economist article, all talking about cutting veterans' affairs and cutting veterans' benefits, are really just trial balloons to what Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to do to veterans and the veteran community. They're shaping the discussion, so anything short of cutting all of our benefits, healthcare, and closing the VA is a compromise." And Fred Wellman says, what this really means is that millions of veterans are going to be losing life-saving benefits, being thrown into an unready civilian healthcare network, and homelessness spiking. I've been in politics long enough to see how this plays out. It's not good. A lot of the current homelessness problems comes from Ronald Reagan's policies as well, like this, basically throwing people onto the streets. Fred Wellman then says, look, to be perfectly clear, what I'm concerned about is all of this chatter from these op-eds that are basically conditioning people. Now, here's an example of this. Here's the Economist headline. This is how they're framing it in kind of an academic way. I referred to it last night on the Midas Touch podcast as the banality of evil, a term that was used to describe what took place during the Nazi era. Here's what the Economist writes. American veterans now receive absurdly generous benefits. An enormous rise in disability payments may complicate debt reduction efforts. The banality of evil right there. Oh, veterans getting rich off of healthcare benefits, absurdly generous healthcare benefits. Oh, are they living in palaces with golden toilet bowls? Oh no, that's Mar-a-Lago. That's Donald Trump. That's Elon Musk. That's them. Adam Kinzinger, a veteran, writes, this is an insane article. The vast majority of this increase is because we were exposed to burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's our generation's Agent Orange. As a burn pit veteran myself, The Economist is absolutely wrong here. My guess is there were no burn pit vets on the board that wrote this. Exactly. I just don't get who these people are, the audacity these people have to go after and attack our veterans, to attack communities like this. And then it's just intellectualized through this banality of evil lens. Just to remind you over here, Trump's Project 2025 plan to dismantle veterans' healthcare has different tiers, 4 main ones that we should discuss. 1, push veterans to a for-profit system. Veterans get pushed out of the VA into for-profit care, and they will receive worse care. Increase the strain on VA facilities. VA care consistently outranks private care. Cut disability benefits. Millions of disabled veterans could lose critical benefits. Project 2025 seeks to lower the disability ratings to save money. Gut specialized care for veterans. End specialized care like reproductive health care for women. That's going to be day 1. Threaten to end all non-service connected care from the VA, which could affect millions of seniors and women veterans. And then the other category, as you hear my dogs barking in the background, loyalty over expertise. Trump loyalists will replace experienced VA workers. Politicization will weaken veterans' health care. And we've already seen, for example, with respect to the Navy, Donald Trump has appointed as the Secretary of Navy someone who's never been in the Navy. A hedge fund guy who's donated like close to $2 million to Donald Trump is now the Secretary of the Navy without any naval experience at all. All right. I want to take a look at the following. I just want you to see this article from The Economist so you see, in my view, the banality and evil that's taking place and the type of conditioning that Trump and the media is doing to execute this plan. I want you to be knowledgeable so you can share this with veterans in your family because we need to push back against this. So this is the article from The Economist. It's called American Veterans Now Receive Absurdly Generous Benefits. An enormous rise in disability payments may complicate debt reduction efforts. Now, I just wonder, do you ever see headlines like this from The Economist or the Wall Street Journal about billionaires getting corporate welfare that then allows them to buy 10 extra personal private jets for themselves? Is that absurdly beneficial benefits that the billionaires are getting? Are they getting absurd benefits? That's what's kind of absurd. And again, look, I'm a capitalist. I think that, people can get wealthy. There could be rich people. I just think it is important to not forget that 99% of Americans need to be looked after. I think it's important that we reflect upon the fact that housing is unaffordable for people. And meanwhile, you've got these billionaires getting tax cuts to allow them to buy up more beach houses, more $1 million, whatever. And they already have enough. It's enough. And they're getting the handouts to let them do it when we could be helping workers out. But that's just me. It says, this is how the article frames it. It's through such a fascist language. Donald Trump delights in projecting strength, meaning he loves America's armed forces. The hell kind of introduction is that? During his first term, the president-elect signed legislation to spend more on defense before proclaiming that he had accomplished the military. On the campaign trail, he doubled down, vowing further increases in defense spending and promising to tackle a recruitment shortfall. Okay, well, their first act is going to be to get rid of transgender service members and to ban gay people from the military. Yet he also wants to cut government waste and has hired Elon Musk to lead a Department of Government Efficiency. Again, it's a fake government agency that doesn't exist, but just take a look at that paragraph right there. Every sentence is like Kim Jong-un style propaganda right there. It goes on to say, when it comes to the Department of Veterans Affairs, these two instincts may be in tension. The department's budget has surged over the past 2 decades, rising from $86 billion in today's dollars, then equivalent to 2.6% of the federal budget in 2000, to $336 billion, 5% of today's budget this year, and now receives almost 3 times as much as the Department of Transportation. Remarkably, this boom has occurred despite nearly a 1/3 decline in veteran population, which has fallen from 26 million to 18 million. Annual spending per veteran as a consequence has risen 6-fold. Then goes on to say, Mr. Musk is zeroing on discretionary spending, right? That's how we refer to healthcare for veterans. It's just discretionary. It's an entitlement. You're so lucky that you get. No, it should be what's viewed as mandatory spending. Our veterans deserve the best care. It goes, which includes programs such as the department's medical services. But the main driver of its spending surge is mandatory outlays for disability compensation. Between 2000 and 2024, such payments ballooned from $26 billion in today's prices to $159 billion. Last year alone saw a 17% jump, and the department's latest budget request forecasts that compensation will soar to $185 billion over the next 2 years. You notice how they frame it too? As compensation. You're getting all of this money. You're rich. You're rich for toxic burn pit exposure. Now you're getting rich. Again, the economists, they don't write this about their billionaires who they focus on. The current system was introduced during the First World War, and it goes on to describe the modern program bears little resemblance to its original form. This year, 6 million veterans, or 1/3 of the total, qualified for payments with an average monthly benefit of $2,200. Veterans may file claims for an unlimited number of disabilities and appeal against decisions as often as they wish. Oh my God, they get to apply for all of the disabilities that they have? What? And they get to appeal it an unlimited amount of times if they're suffering from disabilities for fighting for our troops, for fighting in wars? Oh my God, let's clutch our pearls. The average rating has climbed above 60%, and 1 in 4 disabled veterans now receives the once rare 100% rating. Maybe if you're exposed to toxic burn pits, that's why. Such a designation ensures a generous $4,000 monthly payment for life with no conditions attached. No conditions attached, everybody. They're rich. Starting at the age of 2025, a former soldier could earn well over $2 million in present value terms over the course of their career. Wow. Oh my gosh, someone who can't walk or talk or speak or who could be dying, they get that amount of money so that they could freaking live? That's how they cover that, by the way. It should also be noted too, in terms of how they want to treat our troops. I just want you to think about this. Pete, I covered this before, but I think I deserve to cover it in this context. Now, we all know Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense pick, Pete Hegseth, the Fox Weekend News host, who doesn't have any experience commanding a military company. We all know, I mean, just think about that sentence that I just said there. We all know that he's also been, that he has sexual assault allegations against him, rape of an unconscious woman, which he denies. At a Republican event is where he met this lady who accuses him. He denies the accusations. In addition to that, though, his only leadership, I can't even believe I have to go in addition to the rape accusation. Yeah, but in addition to that, his only leadership of veterans was 2 veterans organizations. And here's the article from the New Yorker. So I just want you to think, this is the guy Trump picked to look after the military. It's Defense Secretary. Pete Hegseth faces new booze, strippers, debt, and NDA claims at veteran groups he rans. It goes on to talk about him having a drunken history of mismanaging veterans organizations, 2 of them, that left the staff so disgusted by his allegedly lecherous behavior that they pushed him out. One group, the Veterans for Freedom and Concerned Veterans for America, was the other group. Veterans for Freedom and Concerned Veterans for America. They described financial mismanagement, inappropriate sexual advances, and at one point, Hegseth drunkenly yelling, "Kill all Muslims," at a bar while on an official tour in Ohio. Hegseth denies it. His lawyers call these accusations outlandish and being spread by a disgruntled former worker at the organizations. But let's not forget that Pete Hegseth's own mother sent him a letter in 2018 calling him an abuser of women who needs to get help. Immediately, this is who Trump picked to lead the Defense Department. It goes on to talk about this whistleblower report on Hegseth at the organization Concerned Veterans for Americans from 2013 to 2016. It accuses him of being repeatedly drunk while on the clock. It talks about while he was married at that time. By the way, he had a baby with his third wife while he was married to his second wife. And during that time period is also accused of rape. It goes on to say that he would divide the women who worked for him into two camps, party girls and not party girls. And he would try to sexually pursue all of the female employees who worked under him. It talks about another NDA for one of the women who worked there after a strip club incident that took place. And then it talks about this kill all Muslims incident where he said that at a bar very loudly. One person who worked there said, I've seen him dragged away not a few times, but multiple times. To have him lead the Pentagon would be scary. So I just want you to reflect on this all. We can say we support our troops. We can say we support our veterans. But we do that with our actions, with our behavior, with our conduct. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing Donald Trump and the media just go, oh, the troops, the troops. You heard what he said in The Economist. He says he loves the troops. Well, his actions show the exact opposite. And by the way, what The Economist describes right there and how they describe it and how they normalize it is absolutely disgusting. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. I hope you've been liking the new format of these videos. Sometimes a lot of me talking, less Trump videos, but let me know what you're thinking in the comments. And okay.
All right, so let's go to this article from Newsweek by Alice Higham, entitled "Veterans' Healthcare Could Be Cut by Department of Government Efficiency." President-elect Donald Trump's newly created Department of Government Efficiency could impact health care for veterans if plans to cut appropriations for expired bills go ahead. Trump announced on Tuesday that Tesla CEO Elon Musk and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy would spearhead the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, D-O-G-E, once he takes office in January. Trump said DOGE, which will not be an official government department, will, quote, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies, unquote. Ramaswamy, who ran for the Republican presidential nomination before suspending his campaign in January, has since said that money spent on expired government programs should be stopped. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, Ramaswamy cited the $516 billion spent on expired acts for the 2024 fiscal year. Quote, there are 1,200 programs that are no longer authorized but still receive appropriations, unquote, which he described as totally nuts, and advocated for saving, quote, hundreds of billions, unquote, of dollars each year by defunding government programs that Congress no longer authorizes. Legislative authorities can expire and continue to receive appropriations, a law of Congress that provides an agency with budget authority subject to congressional reauthorization. Among those expired appropriations is the Veterans Healthcare Eligibility Act, which amounted to $119 billion in government spending for 2024. The act provides health care benefits to those who served in the active military, naval, or air service and did not receive a dishonorable discharge. It covers outpatient services like health appointments, immunizations, nutrition education, and inpatient services such as surgeries, acute care, and some conditions or injuries that may require urgent care. The act expired in '98, but has been continually funded. Newsweek reached out to Ramaswamy and Trump's team for comment via email. Current spending on all expired acts totals $516 billion for the 2024 fiscal year, a slight drop from 2023 when the cost was $519 billion. And other acts that could have spending cut include the 21st Century Cures Act, which funds biomedical research and costs $48 billion for the 2024 fiscal year, and the Foreign Relations Authorization Act, which deals with the administration of foreign affairs and costs $38 billion for 2024. Restructuring the Department of Veterans Affairs, as touted by conservative think tank the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025, is also potentially in line under a second Trump presidency. The 900-page policy blueprint for an incoming conservative government advocates for increasing, quote, robust political control, unquote, of the VA, removing abortion access for VA healthcare recipients, and reviewing its protocols for disability aid. Trump has repeatedly denied any involvement with Project 2025. However, several former Trump aides played a key role in its development, notably Brooks Tucker, who authored the chapter on the Department of Veterans Affairs. Brooks previously served as the acting chief of staff for the VA during Trump's first administration. I remember. In August, the Nonpartisan Veterans Healthcare Policy Institute said in its analysis of Project 2025 that, quote, a second Trump term would decimate veterans' health care and benefits, unquote. Quote, the Heritage Plan aims to finish in a second Trump administration the VA demolition job that was launched in the first one, unquote. The Institute said, quote, it's an unconscionable approach to those who've risked their lives for this country, unquote. So, yeah. So much for, thank you for your service. That's why I say if I ever see anybody wearing a MAGA hat, which I already have. Remember I told you about McDonald's here? Yeah. MAGA guy comes up to me and tells me he was wearing one of those fucking hats and he says, thank you for your service. I mean, I could have laid right into him right then and there, but, it was early in the morning and I wasn't in the fucking mood, so I let it go. But I'll tell you, if you catch me off guard and do that, and you're going to regret it. I don't want to see these fucking people in my face telling me thank you for your service, because this is what MAGA's thanks is in reality. They don't want to deal with veterans, okay? They just assume that send them back on the battlefield and hope they don't come home. That's their way of dealing with soldiers. They don't want people to come home because, it's a drain on the government. That's kind of what was going on in Vietnam during the Vietnam era. The troops would come home, and what did they get for care from the VA system? Very little. It was barbaric in some cases what they got, and they were kicked out. Okay, go fend for yourself. No help. Okay, they were at the mercy of the civilian doctors. The VA just did not really exist for them. Not like today. Okay. They've learned their lesson, and the government, after years, finally stepped up and owned, these veterans that they put in harm's way, which was the right thing to do. Now they're bitching, it's costing us too much. Well, hell, you guys started the fucking wars. Don't you think you owe for these people, no matter what it costs? If you don't want to have veterans, then don't fight the wars. Don't start the fights, okay? Don't do it. How hard is that to understand? People that are out there and they say we have to go here, we got to go there, we got to defend these people. Hey, you're saying you're going to put people in harm's way. Well, if that's what's going to happen, then by God, when some of these people come back and they are scarred in whatever way, okay, it's time for you to cash your check, okay, that you wrote with your mouth. Time to cash it. You support the wars, then, hey, you support the troops that come back from it. It's the same, it's that simple. It really is. If your son or your daughter threw a rock through somebody's house window, what would you tell them? You're going to pay for it, right? You're going to pay for it. You're going to get punished for it, okay? That's something that's been taught to us right from fucking youth, about owning your responsibility to the things you do. And these veterans and the VA system, that's the government's way of owning what they do. And now Trump is going to go in there and say, oh, you know, we give them too damn much. Who the hell is he to say that? Some of these veterans out there that are getting money, they can't really do much, okay, because they're crippled or whatever, you know, however their injuries are, okay, and you know, they get by, but with the way, I mean, they're struggling just like the rest of America is struggling with the way the economy is right now, okay. And all I can think of is that for some veterans, they probably deserve more benefits than they actually get. The VA isn't the be-all and end-all for health care for the veterans. I mean, sometimes they have to rely on the civilian hospitals in order to get extra care. Like, let's say one of them comes with cancer or something. Well, the VA clinics, they don't always have all the equipment they need to be able to treat somebody with that. So they what do they call that? They get outside help. They authorize a hospital to, you know, this patient needs to get a CAT scan or something like that, like what they did with me, okay, because they don't do that at the clinic. So they have to end up paying these hospitals to do it for them, okay, and I'm sure that the price that they charge for the government is going to be higher than what, you know, the VA clinic would probably do if they had the same kind of CAT scan machine, whatever. But they have to outsource a little bit to the civilian world. But you know how expensive it is for you people who aren't on the VA system. You know how expensive that can be. It's going to cost the government a whole lot more money to treat the veterans if they have to rely on the civilian. And these people don't have, a lot of them, they don't even have as much protection or health care other than just the VA. They just have that. So if you kick them out of the benefits, these people are basically naked back out on the streets with no medical help. They can't get access to their medication, which means a lot of these people are going to start flipping out all over the place. You're going to end up with people shot, you know, from folks suffering with PTSD. They're not going to, you know, some of these people will just die because maybe they had some kind of problem that they got from, like, the burn pits where people got sickly and everything. And then they're just going to die without any help from the hospital because they couldn't afford it because the government's not paying them any fucking money to live. Okay? You know, look, that's a problem that's going to encompass all veterans, whether they're MAGA or not. Again, in this, we're going to be in a pit together. No matter who we are, we're going to share the same fate together. You know, the country is going to come together in a way it didn't foresee, which is we're going to be forced to come together. No matter what our differences are, you know, we're all going to be suffering together in this thing. So that means we're all going to be under the gun of the government here when Trump's in power. And there's a lot of MAGA veterans out there. I hate to say it, but they are. And once they start seeing benefits cut, okay, they're only going to be able to blame Trump for that, right? Because Biden won't be the president then. This is all Project 2025 shit. This is from the Republican side of the aisle, okay? And this is stuff that MAGA itself wants to implement, which Trump said, oh, I didn't know anything about that. Yeah, right. That's why he's appointing all these people to do exactly what Project 2025 was laying out that a Republican-controlled government should do when they get into power. They've been waiting for this moment, people. It's like what Tim Wall says, you don't make a playbook there in a game if you're not going to use it, okay? Now that they got their hands on all the sections of our government here, okay? Now that they control it all, hey, they're not going to waste this opportunity. Everything they say they're going to do, you better believe they're going to do. It's going to happen. You know, and right now, I mean, the only hope we have at this point is the midterms. Really, if we don't come out and force during the midterms to hand control back over to Democrats, whether you like them or not, okay, you can bet your ass the next following 2 years is going to be the end, okay? I I mean, it already kind of is now. Democracy really doesn't exist now. We live under an oligarchy, or whatever you want to call it. You know, it's not a democracy anymore. We lost that in this election. Okay, that's gone. Trump's going to show us what a country's like without a democracy, because he's going to be the president, and he's going to continue to put a hatchet job to the Constitution and every other goddamn thing that ever created this democracy in the first place. That's what he's going to do, people. And why should he care? Because he's the one sitting on the catbird seat, right? He's going to make himself a goddamn king. All right? You know, you want to put people in power like Pete Hegseth, their goddamn demon. Goes to a bar and screams, "Kill all the Muslims!" Yeah, that's really a guy you want to have running your, Secretary of Defense, right? That's what you want. Goddamn racist. And a drunk on top of that. Because of all places where he said that was at a bar, so he was probably shit-faced when he said it. But, you know, then you got this other crap of him going after every woman that works under him, and he cheats on every wife he had, and he beats on them. And his mother, you know, practically disowning his ass in a fucking email. Which, you know, she turned around and had to backpedal because Hegseth probably told his mother, you know, you better fucking retract what you said, you know, or you're out, you know, or whatever. That's the kind of guy that would do that sort of thing. He ain't got a fucking moral bone in his body, the son of a bitch. Okay, and so you're gonna put somebody like that in charge of the Secretary of Defense, right? You know, that's really a smart thing. But he's also a perfect asset for Trump because the guy's full of flaws. He's a mess. This fucking guy's a fucking mess. And Trump's going to use him to his advantage. Going to blackmail him. Going to keep him under his thumb. You know. One devil controlling the other. No honor among thieves. Okay? Because that's what's going to happen. You know. We're really going to have a problem here, I'll tell you. I don't know, people. I mean, I sit here, I tell you this stuff, and, you know, and the more I talk about it, the more depressing it gets, because, you know, we're not crying anymore that Kamala didn't win, okay? What we are is we are lamenting on what's coming. And MAGA, in its arrogance, is still out there, you know, in some corners of MAGA world, are still out there saying, oh, how great it's going to be and all that stuff. I mean, these people are going to fall hard, okay, when their lives are upended by something Trump, you know, promised he was not going to do, but does. Okay. You know, I don't know how they think they can, they're not going to be touched by what Trump does, if they think that's even possible. Okay, I really don't know, because some of these people who supported him are Latinos. Some of these people that supported Trump are from that. I mean, right now in Florida, I mean, people are already nervous down here, because they say what most of the people in Florida there, I mean, they're you know, illegally or whatever, they're, you know, and these people are nervous now, you know, and it's like, isn't that a state problem and not a government one? I mean, I feel like, you know, there's, when it comes to people being there that they say aren't supposed to be there and stuff like that, you know, in Florida, because obviously they're talking about people coming across the ocean, right? At Florida from Cuba, maybe, and Haitians. Okay, again, that's across the ocean. So Florida should have like its own kind of, what do they call it, border thing or something like that, you know, like Texas has with Mexico. Why doesn't Florida have boosted its fucking, because this has been a problem that's been going on in that state since the fucking 1970s, or maybe even before that. Okay, you've had all these cartels coming into Florida, drug cartels, and they turn that area down in Miami and up in that into a fucking war zone there during the 80s and the 90s. But You know, it's just, it seems to me like, you know, Florida has always been negligent about protecting its fucking, you know, border against these people, and it's not really the fault of the federal government, because the federal government gives them the money they need to do the things that they need to do, and they ain't doing it. Okay. In Texas, you know, the same thing with them. I mean, they're always screaming at the government to help us, help us. It's like, well, when do you guys? We sent you money for that, and it doesn't even go to the fucking border. Okay, they found that out. Okay, we send them money to help boost their fucking power grid down there, and they didn't even use it for that. So, you know, they're constantly taking federal dollars and they're mismanaging it for other goddamn things. And then they turn around and wonder why the border people are coming across the border and bitching about that all the time. It's because you guys ain't using the money for what that we send it to you for. And so don't cry to us if you're still bitching about a problem that should have been solved decades ago. All right? No, they don't. They just keep it up, you know. And so, like I said, to me, it seems like, you know, if your state borders another country, that's a state problem, not a federal problem. Okay? The government sends you the money, and it's up to you to spend it for what you need it for. If you don't spend it for what you need it for, then you can't come back to us and ask for more handouts, okay? That's it. Accountability is what's needed here. Oversight. And I like I said, you know, it's just, when it comes to, like, Florida, with their problem, it's been going on for decades. Ever since I was born, Florida's always been a fucking target here for all kinds of people coming into this country, you know. And but those that do come here, and they're not criminals, and they're not trying to sell drugs, they're just here to look for work and try to, you know, those people should be left alone. Okay, why care about, you know, them being here if they're not hurting anybody, if they're just working? Because hey, these people are out there picking the crops, are out there doing the manual labor that, you know, Americans don't want to do. Well, if you get rid of all these people, regardless of whether they're criminals or not, guess what? That's going to be your job. And you're going to want that job because you're going to lose the jobs you had under Trump when he starts that tariff shit. And so whenever there's a, you know, a help wanted ad in a newspaper that pays you 10 cents an hour for to go pick potatoes, you're going to take it because you're going to need that fucking money. We're going to be all the way back to the good old days of the Great Depression, okay? Because that's the way people lived back in them days. They'd bust their ass for 10 cents an hour just to go pick apples out of a fucking tree or something like that, okay? Because that was all there was. All right, we're going to have tent cities all over again. People, I mean, you don't like to see homeless out on the street. You're going to see a lot of homeless out on the street when Trump gets in there. They're going to be camping out all over your neighborhoods where you don't want to see them. Okay? They're going to be everywhere. You're going to see destitution in this country that you've never seen before. A lot of us, I mean, yeah, we see it when we drive around and go to a street corner. It's going to be everywhere then. And that's going to happen quick, too, because they're already announcing layoffs. They've already got rid of a lot of people at some jobs already, as these companies brace for these tariffs that Trump's going to implement. Okay, they're preparing for the worst, and that means people are already losing their jobs. People aren't going to get their Christmas bonus this year. Okay, so I don't know why everyone's out spending so much money right now, because they're not going to be able to pay those bills off if they're using their credit cards. You know, they're going to be forever paying the bank. And the bank's going to be forever, you know, hounding them for that fucking monthly payment. So, you know, people, if they're smart right now, they would cut back on their spending and save, you know. But, you know, hey, these probably the same people that voted for Trump. They think, oh, everything's going to be hunky-dory when he gets in there, so let's spend like drunken sailors. Yeah, go right ahead. Okay? You'll just burn through whatever money you're going to need when you need food instead of toys or whatever you're buying. You're going to need it. Don't be stupid. You know, that's all I could say to these people. Don't be stupid. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, because that's what you did when you voted for Trump. You thought, you know, you had everything won. Well, now you're finding out a lot of things now. Some of you people are already regretting that you voted for Trump, okay? I've already read stories about that. You know, I spent 2 weeks here talking about all these people with buyer remorse already bitching because of what's going to happen to their job or what they think will happen to them personally, okay? Buyer remorse is already out there. There's the voices of people happy that Trump won are slowly declining. Before the first year of his presidency is over, it's going to be very, very quiet. Okay? People aren't going to be so brazen about, oh, I voted for Trump. Now, and like I told you people before, those of you that are still wearing that stupid hat, you better lose that fucking thing, because if anyone sees you wearing that, you know, in the months to come, you're probably going to get someone's going to vandalize your vehicle, or they're going to do something to you personally, you know, yell at you or punch you or something. I'm telling you, you people are going to be targets. So if you're smart, you'll get rid of that fucking hat. I'm warning you now before it happens. If you don't want to get hurt or you don't want to be pestered, okay, get rid of that fucking hat. Okay? Just do yourself a favor and get rid of it. All right, so that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So please subscribe, comment, and share. Keep your ears open for health-related matters, and treat each other kind out there, and watch out for each other out on the street there while you're out there shopping. So take care, everybody. I'll talk to you.